The morning sun spilled over the glass exterior of the studio building in New York City, a typical buzz of production crews and makeup artists hurrying backstage. Jennifer Lopez arrived early, as she always did, professionalism etched into every stride of her Louboutin heels. She was there to promote her newest film, a deeply personal drama centered around themes of family, struggle, and redemption. Critics had been generous, praising it as one of her most emotionally nuanced performances. Today, she would sit down with the ladies of The View to discuss it. Before we begin, tell us where are you watching from, also subscribe. Her stylist made the final adjustments to her sleek white outfit as the muffled voices of the co-hosts filtered through from the stage. Makeup done, hair flawless. She was camera ready. From the wing, she heard the booming intro. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incredibly talented Jennifer Lopez. She stepped onto the stage, a brilliant smile radiating from her face. The audience applauded thunderously as she walked toward the semicircle of hosts. Whoopi Goldberg stood and welcomed her with a warm hug. "Jennifer, welcome back to The View. We're so glad you're here," Whoopi said. Jennifer took her seat gracefully, nodding and smiling. "Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here." Sunny Hostin, Alyssa Farah Griffin, and Sarah Haynes all greeted her with sincere warmth. But from the corner of her eye, Jennifer spotted Joy Behar sitting stiffly, arms crossed, lips pressed into a firm line. It wasn't exactly unusual for Joy to be skeptical, but something about her energy felt unusually sharp. Jennifer pushed the discomfort aside. Maybe she was imagining it. Whoopi kicked things off. "So tell us about the film. I hear it's really close to your heart." Jennifer leaned in, eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Yes, it's incredibly personal. It explores the complicated relationships between mothers and daughters, especially the unspoken things, the stuff we all carry from childhood into adulthood. It's raw, it's emotional, but it's also hopeful." Sarah chimed in. "Critics are saying this might be your best work yet. That's gotta feel amazing." Jennifer smiled modestly. "It does. I've been doing this a long time, and it still means so much when people connect to the story," Sunny added. "Your character goes through so much. Loss, betrayal, resilience. Was there a moment during filming that hit especially close to home for you?" Jennifer nodded thoughtfully. "Absolutely. There's a scene where the daughter confronts her mother about a lifetime of silence. That hit me. I've had my own share of difficult conversations with family over the years." The tone was warm, thoughtful, until Joy cleared her throat. "Speaking of silence," she said with a sardonic edge, "don't you think it's time you address the elephant in the room?" The studio quieted. Jennifer turned to her, smile faltering. "I'm not sure what you mean, Joy." Joy sat up straighter, her expression unreadable. "Come on, you know what I mean. Reinvention after reinvention. People say your whole career is a performance, a brand. When do we get the real Jennifer?" Whoopi leaned forward, visibly tense. "Joy, maybe we should stick to the film." Joy waved her off. "No, Whoopi, I think this is exactly the time. The audience deserves authenticity, right? So Jennifer, who are you really? The dancer? The singer? The actress? The mogul? The fiancé of the month?" There was a collective inhale from the audience. Jennifer held her posture. "I've never pretended to be just one thing. I'm proud of my journey. I've worked hard in all of those roles." Joy cocked her head. "Have you? Or have you just played the system really well? Dated the right men, played the right angles, switched identities when the public got bored?" Jennifer's tone cooled, but her voice remained even. "That's your perspective, but it doesn't make it true." "I think it's a lot of people's perspective," Joy shot back. "You've dated high-profile men, Ben, A-Rod, back to Ben again, and somehow every time it just happens to coincide with a movie or an album." Sarah's face flushed with discomfort. "Joy," Jennifer interrupted, her voice firmer now. "My relationships are not press strategies. They're human, complicated, and, frankly, none of your business." Joy leaned back, hands folded. "Then let's talk about your music. How many of your hits were actually written by you?" Jennifer didn't flinch. "I collaborate. That's how the industry works." "Collaborate," Joy echoed with a scoff. "Is that what we're calling ghostwriters now?" Jennifer's expression tightened. "You're making assumptions based on gossip. If you have a real question, I'm happy to answer it." Joy didn't hesitate. "Do you even sing all your vocals? Or is that just smoke and mirrors too?" A murmur ran through the studio. Whoopi tried again to intervene. "Joy, that's enough." Jennifer's voice was low and deliberate. I have been making music for over 20 years. Do I use producers? Yes. Do I use engineers? Yes, like everyone else in the business. That doesn't mean I'm not an artist. But you take credit for work others do. Joy snapped. That's the problem. You profit from other people's voices, their songs, their ideas. You brand it as yours and smile for the cameras. Jennifer's jaw clenched. You're reducing years of hard work to a headline. You don't know the details, and yet you're comfortable judging me. Because I've seen this story before, Joy said. A pretty face, a big name, and a carefully managed narrative. You're a case study in calculated fame. Jennifer took a breath, trying to remain composed. You think you're asking tough questions, but what you're really doing is projecting your cynicism. I'm not here to defend my existence. Oh, please. Joy laughed bitterly. You're here to sell a movie and polish your image. Let's not pretend otherwise. The atmosphere had shifted completely. The energy in the room now pulsed with something volatile. Jennifer leaned forward, eyes locked on Joy. You can question my work, you can question my choices, but what you're doing now is something else entirely. This isn't journalism, it's spite. Joy shrugged. Sometimes the truth sounds like spite. Jennifer sat still for a moment. Then she calmly picked up her clutch from the side of her chair. Then I don't need to sit here and listen to your version of the truth, she said, rising. Whoopi stood too, a hand reaching out. Jennifer, I respect you, Whoopi, Jennifer said, her tone softening for a moment. But I won't be part of this. Joy smirked. Running away? Jennifer paused, looking back over her shoulder. No, just choosing not to let someone else control the narrative of my life. And with that, she walked off the stage. Silence blanketed the studio, broken only by the quiet hum of the cameras still rolling. Backstage, Jennifer's heels clicked sharply against the polished floor as she moved swiftly through the hallway. A production assistant tried to hand her a bottle of water, but she waved it off, her mind still buzzing with adrenaline. Her publicist caught up to her, eyes wide with disbelief. Jen, are you okay? That got ugly. Jennifer stopped, turned to her, and took a steady breath. No, I'm not okay. That wasn't an interview. That was an ambush. Back on set, the remaining hosts sat in stunned silence. Whoopi rubbed her forehead, clearly distressed. Sunny looked toward the cameras, unsure if the show was even still live. Alyssa shifted uncomfortably, glancing toward Joy, who was now staring straight ahead, arms crossed and lips pursed. Sarah broke the silence. That wasn't okay. Joy didn't look at her. It was honest. No, Alyssa said, her voice low but firm. It was hostile. She came here to promote a movie about mothers and daughters, Sunny added. And you accused her of sleeping her way to the top, of being fake, of stealing songs. That wasn't journalism, Joy. That was personal. Joy's eyes flicked to her co-hosts, defensive but silent. Whoopi finally looked up. I don't care what your angle was, Joy. That crossed a line. I asked questions nobody else had the guts to ask, Joy replied. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. Interrogating her like that on live television, Sarah snapped. That's not bravery, that's bullying. Joy stood up, pushing her chair back. She can walk out if she wants to. That tells me everything I need to know. She walked out because you made this about tearing her down instead of lifting up the work she came here to share, Sunny said. There's a difference between tough questions and personal attacks. There was a pause, heavy, uncomfortable. In the control room, producers frantically debated whether to cut to commercial or let the scene play out. Ratings were one thing, but this had crossed into something deeper, something raw. Meanwhile, Jennifer sat quietly in her dressing room, her hands still trembling slightly as she replayed the moment in her mind. She had been on dozens, maybe hundreds of talk shows. She'd fielded hard questions before, but this had been different. This had been venom disguised as journalism. Her assistant knocked softly. They want to know if you'll come back out for a quick outro. Nothing live, just a recorded clip to tie up the segment. Jennifer looked up at her reflection in the mirror, her makeup still flawless, her composure carefully being reassembled piece by piece. No, she said simply. Let them end it however they want. I already said everything I needed to say. Back on set, the mood remained icy. Well, Whoopi finally said, we're going to go to break now. When we come back, we'll be joined by a family therapist to talk about how to have productive conversations. There was a faint ripple of laughter from the audience, uneasy but present, a signal that the show would somehow move on. The cameras cut and the red tally lights faded. Joy turned to Whoopi. You know she'll play the victim now, right? Spin this into some strong woman walking away from toxicity narrative. Whoopi's expression was unreadable. Maybe because that's exactly what it was. Joy's jaw tensed. Whatever helps her sleep at night, Joy muttered. Sunny stood abruptly. You know what helps people sleep at night, Joy? Knowing they treated others with respect. You should try it. Joy rolled her eyes but said nothing more. Jennifer stood alone now in the parking garage beneath the studio. Her driver opened the door to the SUV without a word. As she slid inside, she checked her phone. Dozens of missed calls and messages, texts from friends, DMs from strangers. It had already started. She opened Instagram. Her name was trending. She wasn't surprised. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard for a moment before she began typing. She didn't need a press release. Not yet. She just needed to speak. I've always welcomed honest questions, but I will never accept being disrespected under the guise of journalism. We are allowed to walk away from what doesn't serve us, especially when it's being broadcast to millions. She hit post. The likes started rolling in almost immediately. So did the support, and so did the fury. But Jennifer had made her peace. She hadn't run, she'd chosen. And that, more than anything, was power. Across social media, the fallout was instantaneous. Clips of the confrontation spread like wildfire. Some accounts posted shaky screen recordings from live TV, others added dramatic captions. But one thing was clear, people had chosen sides. Under Jennifer's post, thousands of supportive comments poured in. You handled that with so much grace, Jennifer, proud of you. She was trying to provoke you. You walked away with your head high. Some women build empires, some just sit around and critique the architecture. News outlets were already running coverage. Entertainment shows replayed the clip on loop, pausing and zooming in like a political scandal. Analysts weighed in. Some called it a publicity stunt, others a genuine breakdown of civility. Feminist think pieces popped up within hours, many applauding Jennifer's calm refusal to engage in what they described as institutionalized bullying under the guise of journalistic integrity. But not all responses were sympathetic. Joy Behar had her defenders too. Some praised her for asking the questions no one else would. Others said she was just doing her job. A few echoed her critiques, questioning Jennifer's authenticity, her artistry, her public image. Still, the overwhelming sentiment leaned toward Jennifer, especially among younger audiences who were more attuned to recognizing power dynamics, microaggressions, and the line between accountability and hostility. That evening, Jennifer sat in her Manhattan hotel suite, wrapped in a blanket, legs curled beneath her. Her phone buzzed every few seconds. Calls from her team. A statement was being drafted. Offers for exclusive interviews were already rolling in. Oprah, Gayle King, even Anderson Cooper. Netflix producers texted, "If this becomes a docuseries, we want in." She silenced her phone and turned toward the television. The View was airing again, an edited rebroadcast, but even with the cuts, the tension was unmistakable. Her assistant came in holding a tablet. "You need to see this." It was a clip from that night's Late Show. A comedian had already turned the incident into a bit. Jennifer Lopez left The View today. Honestly, who hasn't wanted to do that at some point? The crowd roared with laughter. I mean, props to Joy Behar. She's the only person who can make J-Lo say, "I'm out," faster than a breakup with A-Rod. Jennifer laughed, but it was hollow. "I didn't walk out because I was weak," she said quietly. "I walked out because I've spent too much of my life proving I belong." Her assistant sat down beside her. "You don't have to explain yourself." "I know," Jennifer replied, "but I might have to for other women who can't walk away as easily." Down the hall, her publicist was on the phone with the network. "No, she's not giving an exclusive to anyone right now, but I'll tell you this, if you think we're just gonna let Joy Behar smear her on national television without a response, you're out of your mind." Back at the studio, the producers were scrambling. Ratings had spiked massively, but the backlash was real. Emails poured in, sponsors were calling, ABC execs were whispering about whether Joy had gone too far, even by her standards. In a private meeting, Joy sat across from the showrunner, arms folded. "I'm not apologizing," she said. "No one's asking you to yet," the showrunner replied carefully. "But if this keeps blowing up, we'll need to do something. Damage control, maybe a segment next week. You could frame it as a debate on celebrity culture and truth in journalism." Joy scoffed. "So I'm the villain now?" "No," the showrunner said, lying just enough to keep the peace. "But perception is everything." Joy stood and walked toward the window, looking out at the dark skyline. She knew the game. She'd played it longer than any of them, but something in Jennifer's final words had stuck with her. "What have you ever built?" It echoed in her mind longer than she wanted to admit. Meanwhile, Jennifer's team huddled over the next steps. "We should lean into this," her manager said. "Turn it into a campaign. Strength, integrity, truth. People are already making edits of you walking off to empowerment songs." "I don't want to cash in on it," Jennifer said, but I want to make it count." The next morning, a short video appeared on her social media. No dramatic music, no filters. Just her sitting on a couch in casual clothes, bare-faced and clear-eyed. "Yesterday I walked off a show because I was being attacked, not interviewed. I'm not angry, I'm not ashamed, but I am tired. Tired of women being questioned more for how they got here than what they've done once they arrived. I'm proud of my work, I'm proud of my journey, and I will never apologize for being multifaceted, ambitious, or successful. If that makes some people uncomfortable, that's okay. I didn't come this far to be quiet, I came this far to be heard." The video went viral instantly. No music, no dramatics, just truth. And for once, it was louder than the noise. Within hours of the video going live, Jennifer's words ricocheted across the internet like a shot fired at the heart of celebrity culture. Influencers, journalists, fans, and fellow artists reshared the clip, not with irony or memes, but with solidarity. Actress Viola Davis reposted it with the caption, "This, all of this. When women, especially women of color, draw boundaries, the world tries to call it ego. It's not, it's self-preservation." Selena Gomez added, "Proud of you, Jay. You said what so many of us feel, but don't always have the platform or strength to say." Even Beyonce's notoriously quiet team posted a single line on her official website, "When you speak your truth, you liberate others." JL. By noon the next day, major outlets shifted their framing. What had initially been described as a dramatic walk-off was now being examined through a new lens, a defining moment for female agency in media. Meanwhile, at ABC Studios, the pressure was mounting. Viewers were split, but advertisers weren't. Two major sponsors had already paused their ad slots on The View. Emails flooded the network's inbox, some demanding accountability from Joy, others praising the show's fearless journalism. But the volume alone made one thing clear: this wasn't going away quietly. In an emergency meeting, senior producers debated their next move. "She's not going to apologize," one said flatly. "Then we need to find another way to de-escalate this." Another replied, "Something that shows we hear the criticism. Maybe a roundtable on celebrity culture, or a guest segment with someone from Jennifer's camp." What? Like damage control dressed up as content? No, like strategy dressed up as humility. Joy, when informed, was furious. "They want to reframe me as some cautionary tale? I've been speaking truth on this show for years. Suddenly that's a problem because it was her." She slammed her notebook shut and stood from the table. "You don't want me to speak my mind? Fine. Let's see what happens when I don't say anything at all." But silence wasn't her strong suit, and the world was still watching. Across town, Jennifer's publicist answered yet another call from a major network. Everyone wanted the first sit-down since the incident. CNN offered an exclusive. Gayle King proposed a thoughtful Sunday special. Even Trevor Noah's team reached out, saying he'd come out of hiatus if she wanted a platform. Jennifer, seated on the balcony of her hotel suite, watched the sun drift low over the skyline. "I don't want to talk to a journalist," she finally said. Her publicist blinked. "Who then?" She thought for a moment, then smiled faintly. "A woman who's been through it. Someone who's been picked apart, underestimated, misrepresented, who gets it." Her assistant's eyes lit up. "Oprah?" "No," Jennifer said quietly. "Maria Hinojosa." It took a few days to arrange, but when the interview was finally confirmed, the world took notice. Maria Hinojosa, award-winning journalist, immigrant advocate, unapologetic truth teller. It was the perfect choice. Someone who wouldn't sensationalize, who would ask tough questions with empathy, someone who would listen. And when the interview aired, just 1 week after the walk-off, the response was seismic. Filmed in a quiet, sunlit studio, the conversation was raw, layered, and deeply human. Jennifer spoke not just about the incident, but about the decades of being underestimated, sexualized, categorized. "You spend your life being told to be grateful," she said. "Grateful for attention, for opportunities, for the chance to be allowed into the room. And when you finally speak up about the way you're treated in that room, people act like you're ungrateful." Maria nodded slowly. "And yet, you still show up. Because we don't have the luxury of not showing up." Not as women, not as Latinas, not when we know how many girls are watching, learning how to value themselves based on how the world treats us. By the time the interview ended, even some of Jennifer's critics had softened. The narrative had shifted again, not in her favor by spin, but by truth. Back at The View, the tension lingered like fog. Joy came in early one morning, looked around the empty set, and quietly sat in her chair. She watched the crew set up, watched the lights flicker on, then finally, she leaned forward and pulled her mic closer. If you like this video, then subscribe.